sorry it took me so long to get back to this game. And somehow, I doubt I'm going to be able to push myself all the way to the ending just yet. Still, I've got a good amount of footage stockpiled at the moment. It's honestly pretty funny that with Len's campaign, I can do it all in one smooth push. But with Elliewood, I just can't seem to care as much for what happens to him. Probably a good sign that for some Fire Emblem games, I just plain need to skip over them altogether. Still, this game was the first taste anybody had of the franchise outside of Japan, and I feel like it needs as much respect as I can muster for it. Anyway, let's finish up preparations for the next battle. I awkwardly left the dialogue justifying it back in the previous clip, which I worked on an obscenely long time ago. Okay. Well, at least we're gonna be reuniting with Lynn and her friends in a bit. Yeah, let's get it started. Well, it certainly looks like our roster is about as good as I can make it for the moment. I pretty much doubt we're gonna need to worry about any villages being destroyed in this mission, so no real need to rush. I certainly don't see any bandits at the moment, but then I also don't see Florina in our formation just yet, and I certainly remember seeing her show up on our team in the last clip. Anyway, I guess I figured that Matthew isn't gonna get any kills out here, so may as well send Dorcas out again. Of course, I can't think of any real reason not to bring Merlinus along. At least not so long as we remember to leave him some kind of rear guard, and we've certainly got plenty of people who can cover him. Well, good luck with that pursuit. I don't suppose it's something you'll ever be able to finish, though, is it? Well, I'm going to need you to be patient with me since I took a probably far too long break in this adventure. If you think this is close-knit, then I'm afraid you don't know too many other groups. This isn't the kind of ragtag crew that ends up feeling like a second family or something to that effect. This is just a random collection of people who agreed to go along with Elliewood in his search for his father. And while some people in this crew are closer than others, this isn't exactly the kind of heartwarming fellowship that sticks with you for years afterwards. Oh, don't worry, I'm not gonna get all that concerned with that sort of thing. Hell, I'm one of the sort of people who got a little annoyed with the series when it started to make romance bullshit into such a big part of the game experience. Even in a game with damn good characters like Three Houses, it felt like the romance aspect kinda hamstrung some of the potential character development for the various cast members. And it also felt like a lot of things ended up being glossed over that really shouldn't have, just so this or that character would still look attractive. Well, I suppose I should probably save any complaints about one of the most beloved entries in the franchise for if and when I finally get to it, and that's certainly a long ways away at this point. Hell, I don't even know how long it's gonna take me to finally finish this game. That they were already on the field really says something that I feel more concerned and connected to Lynn, Zane, and Kent than anyone else on this team out here. I mean, seriously, the storytelling for the first campaign did a good job of introducing those 3 characters. But every other character in the game just didn't have that great of an intro as far as I remember. And it's not like this is a sort of game that has a lot of great character arcs, where this person grows into that kind of character. The vast majority of the people we work with are going to be the exact same person at the end of the story as they were when we first met them, with the notable exception of anyone who happens to die, of course. Well, that's certainly a blatant way for the lady to try to improve the local economy. Oh dear, I definitely want to use some swords that are completely replaceable, not that distinctive thing. I'm probably not using the Manicati as much as I probably should in this game, but what can I say? It's the only named weapon we've got aside from maybe that one axe that Hector has called Wolfveal. No clue how important that blade might be, but the Manicati was treated as a bit of a moment of destiny for Lyn, even though that was a damn long time back. So I'm assuming it's going to be very important for Lyn later on in the game as well. Maybe, but a skilled enough user can certainly do quite a bit of damage with a cheap weapon, especially if they're used just right. Don't underestimate how stingy I can get with money, especially in a game where we can't just grind up for more. Well, shit, was hoping that Priscilla was just outside that swordsman's range. Ah, well, he didn't cause all that much damage, so it's not like that mistake is gonna cost us anything. Right, gonna have to move Guy if we want Rebecca to get into range to shoot that horseman. As usual, looks like no matter what, a good chunk of our forces isn't going to be able to actively do anything for the moment. They're just going to ship from point to point. So I'm just going to waste a good amount of time trying to think what's worth doing for the moment. Good God, I've been sitting on trying to complete this game for way too long, but at least I didn't completely give up on it like a few others. I'm sure it's going to take me a bit to be able to get back into the groove with this thing, assuming I ever really did have a groove with it, but It probably says something that I prefer the iron weapons to steel ones, partly because they're more accurate and partly because they have more uses before they break. Granted, it's not like we ever really know how long it's going to be until the next time we run into a store where we can get fresh weapons. So a long-lasting weapon is pretty damn appealing, and the fact that they are pretty cheap is good as well. Still, there's no getting around the fact that in most role-player games or other games with some kind of level-up system, I try to upgrade my equipment when I can. But in this game, I've been maintaining our equipment, which means sticking with the cheap iron swords. Anyway, assuming I haven't miscounted anywhere, that makes about 8 kills for Eliwood. He's definitely at no risk of outdoing Lynn's 29 kills, and she's probably gonna gain even more as the game goes on now that she's back on our team. How much of that is because we had control of her for a lot longer, and she had at times fewer people to work with than Eliwood ever did? And how much of that is because Lynn is genuinely a better fighter than Eliwood? I don't know. I'm not really paying attention to the stats or the kill counts when I'm actually playing. I'm just making my decisions based on the positioning of everyone from one move to the next, and I'm damn sure I've been making plenty of mistakes in this Let's Play. Well, certainly took me long enough to find a shop that sells bows for Will to use, though I seem to be using him as a beast of burden for Zane and Kent getting spare lances, or... Actually, I'm not sure what I'm doing with him at the moment. Yeah. 83% chance to hit isn't 100%. Oh well, at least we're not gonna pay for that bit of bad luck. Feels like it's a better idea to let Urk weaken that guy to the south rather than secure the kill. It's not like either of them can counter Urk after all. Yeah. Guy's the guy who's gonna get the kill there. Took me long enough to let Rebecca get those shots. I've been looking at that for a while. Part of me thinks I should keep someone next to the tent just in case some random bastard starts spawning in to try to hit Merlinus. And it's not like Oswayne is all that mobile either. Trying to get him to go on the charge is just pointless. But still, he doesn't really have anything that can counter axes. Yeah, bloody hell. There doesn't feel like any great options here. Yes, we're well aware of that. Oh, I'm sure he's in trouble. And that we're going to have to save him. Again. Right. Giving me an item that I'm probably going to sell at the soonest opportunity. Excuse me for saying this, but I think you should have kept it for your daughter's wedding. I mean, sure, getting some more money to potentially use to stay able to fight is all well and good, but again, I'm not a fan of the whole equipment breaking down thing, and it's not like we ever have the option in this game to return to a previous location in order to get gear or to buy anything while we're on the move from point to point. I'm pretty sure that didn't start to be a thing in this series until the GameCube entry in Fire Emblem. Not that the equipment issues I have with this franchise as a whole are what made me stall out and end up leaving this to collect dust for a while. It's more the fact that I cannot find it in me to care about Eliwood and his quest to find his father. We already saw a better version of that kind of story in this same game, when Lynn was trying to fight her way to her grandfather. And while the game is trying to make it seem like a much more grand conspiracy, it takes more than up in the scale to make things more compelling. Seriously, I've got a solid chunk through this game before I decided I need to step away from it last time. And while I wouldn't say that the story is doing anything to push me away, it's not doing anything to draw me into it either. It's just annoyingly bland to me. And a game that feels bland is kinda tough to keep on going through in any kind of big gulp. I'm still hoping to eventually get to the end of this game, but again, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be skipping over a number of Fire Emblem games if I ever decide to do more in this series. The core gameplay loop is fun, the concept is damn good, but even just trying to make another push in this game is tempting me to get started on the first Suikoden instead. That game wasn't exactly a narrative juggernaut, but felt easier to get engrossed in than this somehow, and I'm not entirely sure why. Right, that's 16 for Rebecca, and 261 in this playthrough overall. We've certainly been leaving quite a trail of bodies in our wake, which of course makes it a bit more annoying that the game isn't treating the conflict we're going through as an open war of some kind. The lore of Laos and his Black Fang backers are just trying to build us up to the point of starting a civil war and stall us out. And Eliwood's band ended up starting to fight against them because the Black Fang doesn't want Eliwood to figure out what happened to his father too soon. It's a nice skeleton to a story, a nice foundation, but dear God, did it need more meat? Probably should try to have a swordsman next to the tent, since I'm sure Oswine with his spears isn't going to be all that red against the various bandits that are going to spawn out of nowhere there. Seriously, why the hell is it that the least mobile unit type we've got is exclusively spear user? And the guys that keep spawning in are always axe users. Hell, maybe I shouldn't have even bothered to send so many of our team forward. We just have way too many characters to work with here, and the writers can't even make the absolute central characters in the cast feel all that good when they talk to one another. Seriously, I just decided to take a moment in the middle of the battle to have Eliwood and Hector talk to each other as one of those support conversations, and it feels entirely divorced from anything that's actually been going on in the story. It's just a bout of mutual concern to try to hammer home that these two are indeed friends. I respect the fact that the game designers hadn't quite managed to figure out how to do bonding events in the series just yet. They were still feeling their way through the new concept. The idea was still in its infancy. Hell, I don't think that sort of evolving relationship between characters started to be a thing until around the PlayStation 2 GameCube generation, with the likes of Persona 3, making it feel especially viable. But here, it's just not clicking into place. As a side note, Eliwood is supposed to have the advantage against Hector, since a weapon triangle means he's got the paper to smother his proverbial rock. Good God. Good God, why did I even bother trying to pay attention to that conversation? It lasted way longer than I expected and didn't actually go anywhere. I'm afraid that support levels aren't as impactful as you'd hope around here, especially since all too often the characters will be pretty spread out and not really able to support each other that much. Especially since I'm sure the maps are just going to be getting even bigger as we keep going forward, with more enemies to deal with per map. I probably should have tried to actually heal someone who needed healing, but hey, I'm not feeling all that threatened right now. I'm staring at the number of characters we've got to work with right now, and it's a bit hard to keep track of, not helped by the fact that we need at least one person near the tent. Lynn and her crew started in the middle of the map, and we're trying to get the majority of our forces to link up with the ones that started in the center of this mess. Sure, I'm smiling to see Will, Kent, Zane, Florina, and especially Lynn again, but they aren't exactly game changers. They're just a nice bit of nostalgia from within the same game they were introduced in. And that kind of gives me the impression that nostalgia is not really the word that would be applicable here, but it's the closest one I could think of. Okay, that makes 22 kills for Florina. The kill counter idea is certainly proving to be a damn good way for me to keep some commentary going in this game, when I can't think of anything else to say for the moment. I'm sure I could also say something about the various level-ups our characters have been going through, but then I've always had a hard time really giving it down whenever someone levels up regardless of what game it is. I vaguely care about the fact that someone we're working with is getting stronger, and then I move on and deal with whatever's in front of us. Yeah, there's no way we're gonna finish this battle before the end of this clip. Not at the rate I'm making decisions and cutting through these guys out here. Well, we're certainly thinning them out at the very least. I'm sure this fight will end by the next clip, but, well, I'm not really looking forward to anything in this story, so us managing to get the job done and moving on to the next story beat isn't gonna make me feel all that enthusiastic about what's coming next. Still, it felt easier for me to muster the motivation to try and make another push for Fire Emblem than to make another push with the Pokemon 2nd Generation Let's Play. The studio Intelligent Systems hasn't managed to find any ways to really get on my nerves. Intelligent Systems, in fact, has tried some different things over the years. Some worked out, some didn't. And I just had the iffy decision-making process to choose the oldest Fire Emblem game to ever officially leave Japan as the first game in the series for me to get to work on. Sure, the whole character bonding thing hasn't evolved to the point that it's uncomfortably close to some kind of dating simulator. There's still a number of games before that becomes a problem. That sort of thing makes both Fire Emblem and Persona a bit tougher for me to stomach, even though they both bring some nice characters and interactions to the table. Still, it's tough to deny, at least when I'm struggling to go through with this game, that they really did end up adding a lot of things that more than made up for my annoyances with the whole get this character like that character idea, among other things. Whereas the Pokemon games haven't really added to the overall formula all that much since the 1990s. And good God, not only did they fumble with the Nintendo Switch games and their release, and not only did Game Freak's attempts to expand outside of Pokemon make me start to wonder why they're trusted with the Pokemon franchise, Nintendo trying to sue Palworld was kind of a last straw for me. I'm not even into survival games like that. It wouldn't have drawn me in, especially since there isn't really a single-player mode to it. But Nintendo's response to that was so over the line and obscene that I can't look at anything Pokemon-related without feeling some measure of disgust. Seriously, they tried to have laws rewritten in numerous countries in order to screw over this one game that wasn't even in the genre that rivaled them. It just had a lot of monsters that were similar looking, and they didn't even try to go with the whole idea of art styles being too similar when they tried to take Palworld down, though various people online certainly argued that was the case. They tried to file patents to things that didn't even originate in Pokemon. They originated in things like Shin Megami Tensei. It's just that Pokemon made them more popular. And in a world where numerous companies feel like they don't give a damn about their consumers and employees, Nintendo as a whole certainly didn't need to look that bad. And Game Freak needs to do a hell of a lot in order to regain some lost faith and goodwill from me. Anyway, I suppose that's enough talking about things that don't really matter all that much to this game in particular. It's just vaguely Nintendo-ish. I should try to think about this game more specifically. I need to brace myself for ending this clip before the half-hour mark. Yeah, doubt that we're gonna get any more kills in this turn. And just as I say that, Wayne gains another kill to his score. That's 17 for him and 268 for the playthrough as a whole.